How did you make your mother realize she chose the wrong daughter? My mother adopted Haley when I was 28, calling her a miracle, a blessing sent from heaven. I was happy for Mom. She'd been lonely since Dad died. Haley was 16 and about to age out of foster care. Mom wanted to give her a chance, a noble cause. I fully supported it, even helped with the adoption costs. $5,000 from my savings. The first month was great. Mom was glowing. Haley was polite, helpful, and grateful. Then things shifted. Mom started calling me with requests. Haley needs new school clothes. Can you take her shopping? Sure, Mom. I spent $800 that day. Haley picked out designer everything. What if the people you loved most weren't just taking from you, but actively plotting against you? My own mother and the adopted sister she claimed was a victim left me drowning in over $40,000 of debt, and that was just the beginning of their betrayal. It's a story I never thought I'd tell, about family, lies, and learning to protect yourself even when it feels like a dagger to the heart. It all started so innocently. Mom said Haley deserved a break after her hard life. Next thing I knew, Haley needed a $2,000 laptop for school. Then a new phone, the latest model, another $1,000. My phone would ring, and it would be Mom, her voice thick with tears. This poor child has never had anything nice, she'd cry. You had everything growing up. You can afford to help your sister. I'd tried to interject. She's not my sister, Mom. She's your adopted daughter. But she'd cut me off, her tone sharp. How can you be so cold? She's family now. By month 3, I was Haley's personal ATM. $800 a month for dance classes. $600 for private tutoring. Plus clothes, shoes, spending money. Mom never once asked if I could afford it. She just assumed I would pay. Meanwhile, my 28th birthday rolled around, and Mom forgot it. Completely. First time ever. She was too busy taking Haley on a spa weekend. Haley needed relaxation after her traumatic past. A spa weekend, by the way, that I paid for. I tried to set boundaries. Mom, I can't keep funding everything for Haley. You have your pension. She was offended. That barely covers our expenses. You make good money. Haley deserves the same opportunities you had. I bit back. I worked through college, Mom. You made me get a job at 16. Her reply was chilling. That was different. You were privileged. Haley needs nurturing. Christmas came. Mom invited me over. When I arrived, the tree was practically buried under gifts. All for Haley. Mom hadn't gotten me anything. Not even a card. I didn't want to make Haley feel bad by having you here with presents, too, she explained, a sweet smile on her face. This day is about her feeling special. I felt a cold dread wash over me. I just left. Later, Mom called me selfish for ruining Haley's first real Christmas. Then, in January, Mom called, panicking. Haley got accepted to a private college. $50,000 a year. You'll help with tuition, right? My stomach clenched. Mom, I'm saving for a house. Her voice hardened. Your sister's education is more important than your comfort. She's not my sister, and I already have student loans for my own education. I practically shouted. You can afford both. Stop being greedy. I said no. Mom didn't speak to me for 2 weeks. Then she called, crying. Haley was devastated. She thought I hated her. You're destroying this child's future, Mom sobbed. Fine. I'd pay for 1 semester, just to see how she did. $25,000 later, Haley failed every single class. She spent the entire semester partying. Mom made excuses. She's adjusting. Never had structure before. Needs more support. Pay for another semester. No, I said, my voice flat. This time Mom got nasty. After everything I sacrificed raising you, you can't even help your sister succeed? I actually laughed. You sacrificed? I started working at 14 to buy my own clothes. You were a single mother doing your best. Now Haley needs that same support. I couldn't believe her audacity. Haley is getting way more support than I ever did. That's when Mom played her trump card. I'm changing my will. Everything goes to Haley. She needs it more. You're successful. You don't need an inheritance. I just laughed again, a hollow, bitter sound. What inheritance, Mom? Your house with a second mortgage? Your 10-year-old car? She hung up. 2 days later, Haley called. Mom says you're jealous of me, she chirped. I think we should talk. We met for coffee. Haley ordered the most expensive drink, put it on my tab without asking, then casually laid out her plan. Mom promised me the house when she dies, but I need it sooner. Can you buy it from her now? Let us live there rent-free. My jaw nearly hit the floor. Are you serious? She looked at me with wide, innocent eyes. Mom's getting older. She needs care. I can't provide that without stability. I stared at her, utterly speechless. You want me to buy my mother's house so you can live there free? She shrugged. It's what's best for Mom. I stood up. I just walked out. Haley complained to Mom that I was hostile. Mom called me abusive. Said I traumatized Haley. Now she was having anxiety attacks. She needed therapy. Could I pay for it? That's when something finally snapped. I called Mom's sister, my Aunt Rachel. I told her everything. The money, the demands, the will threat. Rachel was furious. She'd been sending Mom money monthly, thinking Mom was struggling. I called Mom's brother, Uncle Keith. Same story. He'd been paying Mom's car insurance and phone bill, all for Haley's benefit. We compared notes. Mom was collecting almost $4,000 a month from family, plus her pension, plus my payments for Haley. She'd been playing everyone. We all stopped payments immediately. Mom called each of us, panicking. Her bills were past due. Haley needed things. We suggested she get a job, or Haley could get a job. Mom was appalled. Haley is focusing on her studies. What studies? I retorted. She dropped out after failing. Mom hadn't told anyone that part. Last month, Mom called me crying because Haley had left. I woke up the next morning and just couldn't get out of bed right away. My phone sat on the nightstand with 6 missed calls from Mom, all from yesterday. I grabbed my laptop instead and opened my banking app. My checking account showed $2,847. 3 months ago, it had been $18,000. I clicked through to my credit card statements and added up the numbers again, even though I already knew what they'd say. Card 1, $800. Card 2, $12,400. Card 3, maxed at $15,000. Card 4, $6,800. $42,400 in 3 months. The laptop screen blurred, and I had to blink a few times. Haley was gone now, and I should have felt relieved, but instead I just felt used up and stupid. I called my boss and told her I had food poisoning. She said to feel better, and I hung up before she could ask any questions. The apartment was quiet. I sat there, staring at the red numbers on the screen until they stopped looking like money and just looked like a mistake I couldn't undo. Mom's first voicemail played while I was making coffee. Her voice sounded thin, panicked. Haley cleaned out the guest room and took everything, including the laptop you bought her. I need you to call me back right away. The second message came 10 minutes later. This is your fault for being so unsupportive. And now Haley's gone, and I don't know where she is. The third message had Mom crying. You drove her away with your attitude, and now I'm all alone again. Message 4 accused me of being jealous. Message 5 said I needed to help fix the situation. Message 6 left at almost midnight said Haley took the new phone, too, and Mom needed me to replace it so she could try to contact her. I deleted all 6 messages without responding. Whatever Mom wanted, it would cost me money I didn't have or energy I'd already spent. She'd either want me to go looking for Haley or hand over cash to replace what Haley took. I poured my coffee and unplugged my phone. Aunt Rachel called that evening while I was eating cereal for dinner because I hadn't gone grocery shopping in 2 weeks. Her voice had an edge to it I'd never heard before. "I hired someone to look into Haley's background," she said, "a private investigator named Olive Henderson." I almost dropped my spoon. Rachel kept talking. Olive found records from the state foster system. Haley was adopted and returned by 3 different families in the past 4 years. Each time, money went missing from the family. Significant amounts. Credit cards, cash, jewelry that got sold. The first family lost almost $20,000. The second family pressed charges, but Haley was a minor, so the records got sealed. The third family just returned her to the state without filing a report. My stomach felt sick, even though I'd barely eaten anything. Rachel's voice got quieter. "Your mother either didn't check Haley's history, or she saw it and didn't care. Either way, this was always going to happen." We hung up after Rachel promised to email me the investigator's report. I sat at my kitchen table with my bowl of soggy cereal and felt validated, furious, and stupid all at the same time. Uncle Keith called me 3 days later with a plan. A family meeting at his house that Saturday afternoon. He'd already called Rachel and Mom's other brother, Tom, who lived 2 states away. Tom had been sending Mom money too, about $800 every month for groceries. Keith wanted everyone, except Mom, to compare notes and figure out exactly how much money she'd collected. I drove to Keith's house on Saturday and found Rachel already there with a notebook. Tom showed up 20 minutes later, looking tired from the drive. We sat around Keith's dining room table with our bank statements and receipts. Keith had been paying Mom's car insurance, $180 monthly, plus her phone bill, another $95. Rachel had spent $600 every month for utilities. Tom's $800 for groceries. My payments for Haley averaged about $2,500 monthly between the regular expenses and the one-time purchases. We added it up 3 times to make sure. $6,175 every month for 3 months, plus Mom's pension, which was around $2,400. Keith called Mom and asked her to come over, but she refused. "You're all ganging up on me. I won't be treated like a criminal." We sat there after Keith hung up and decided we needed to help Mom face reality without enabling whatever she'd been doing. Rachel said we should create boundaries and stick to them. Tom said Mom needed to understand actions have consequences. I just wanted to stop feeling like an ATM machine. Mom's landlord called me 2 weeks after Haley left. The voice on the phone was professional but annoyed. "Your mother listed you as her emergency contact, and her rent is 30 days overdue." My face got hot. "How much does she owe?" $1,800 for this month, plus late fees. I told the landlord I'd call him back, then immediately called Mom. She answered on the first ring. Before I could say anything about the rent, she started crying about how Haley took her jewelry box and some cash she'd been saving. I cut her off. "Your landlord just called me. You're a month behind on rent." Silence. Mom. More silence. Then she started talking fast about how the money from the family had been going to Haley's expenses, and now she didn't have enough to cover everything. "What expenses, Mom? Haley's gone." "Well, I bought a new couch last month because the old one was falling apart, and I leased a newer car because mine kept breaking down." The words came out before I could stop them. "You spent our money on furniture and a car." She got defensive. I needed those things, and Haley needed a nice home. I asked her directly how much debt she had. She admitted to $17,000 on credit cards. Her pension barely covered utilities and the car lease and insurance. Everything else had been coming from family. Rachel told me to check my credit report after I called her about Mom's debt. I logged into the credit monitoring site I'd been ignoring for months and watched the page load. 2 credit cards I didn't recognize showed up under my accounts. Card 1, from a major bank, opened 8 months ago. Balance $7,400. Card 2, from a department store, opened 7 months ago. Balance $4,600. My hands started shaking. I clicked through the transaction history. Cash advances, online shopping sites, restaurants in Mom's neighborhood that I'd never been to. The cards were opened before Haley even arrived. I called Rachel back, and my voice sounded weird and high. Mom opened credit cards in my name 8 months ago. Rachel swore, which I'd never heard her do before. That's identity theft. You need to report this. But she's my mother. Rachel's voice got hard. She's also a thief. I hung up and stared at my laptop screen until the numbers stopped making sense. The Haley situation had been bad enough, but at least I'd chosen to give that money. This was different. This was Mom stealing from me before Haley was even part of the picture. The attorney's office was in a bland building downtown, with beige carpet and fluorescent lights. Holden Wu looked younger than I expected, maybe 35, with glasses and a tired expression. He listened while I explained about the credit cards and showed him the statements I'd printed out. When I finished talking, he leaned back in his chair. This is textbook identity theft and financial abuse. You can file a police report and dispute the charges with the credit card companies. They'll investigate, and you won't be responsible for the fraudulent debt. I felt relieved for about 3 seconds until he kept talking. However, filing the report means the police will investigate your mother. If they find evidence she opened the accounts, which they will based on what you've shown me, she could face criminal charges. Identity theft is a felony. I sat there feeling my stomach drop. So, I have to choose between my financial future and potentially sending my mother to jail. Holden nodded slowly. Unfortunately, yes, those are your options. He gave me paperwork to take home and review. I left his office feeling sick. I drove to Mom's house with the credit card statements in a folder on my passenger seat. She answered the door, looking smaller than usual, wearing an old robe, even though it was 2 in the afternoon. I walked past her into the living room and saw the new couch she'd mentioned, a gray sectional that probably cost $2,000. I put the folder on her coffee table and opened it. Mom looked at the papers, and her face went white. Where did you get these? I pulled my credit report. You opened 2 cards in my name 8 months ago. She tried to speak, but nothing came out at first. Then she started with excuses. I was desperate. The pension wasn't enough. You have so much money. I interrupted her. I'm drowning in debt because of you and Haley. $42,000 on my actual cards, plus $12,000 on these fraudulent ones. She got angry then. You should have budgeted better. I felt something snap inside me. I'm filing a police report if you don't sign a payment agreement right now. Her face went through shock, then more anger, then she started crying. You'd really do that to your own mother? I pulled out the agreement Holden had helped me draft. $50 monthly until the $12,000 is paid back. 240 months. 20 years. She grabbed the paper with shaking hands and read it. This is ridiculous. Sign it, or I go to the police today. She signed. Uncle Keith called me 3 weeks later, his voice tight with anger. Haley contacted my daughter through Instagram, sent her a message about being homeless and needing help. My cousin Jessica was 19 and had a part-time job at a coffee shop. She almost sent Haley $200 before Keith saw the messages and stopped her. He'd shown Jessica the investigator's report and explained what Haley had done to the family. A protective rage flooded through me. She's targeting the younger generation now. Keith agreed. I'm warning everyone with kids. She's probably going through a list of everyone connected to your mother. I thanked him and hung up. Then I called Olive Henderson and asked her to dig deeper into what Haley had been doing since she left. Olive called back 4 days later with information that made me want to throw my phone across the room. Haley is living with a 32-year-old man named Derek in the next county, she reported. They're in an apartment he's renting. I found her social media accounts under a different name. She has posts from 2 weeks ago bragging about scamming her rich adoptive family. One post called your mother a stupid old lady who believed everything. Olive sent me screenshots, and I looked at them on my laptop. Haley's face in the photos looked happy and smug. The post talked about how easy it was to manipulate people who wanted to feel like saviors. There was no remorse anywhere, no guilt, just satisfaction at pulling off a successful con. I saved all the screenshots to a folder on my desktop and felt something settle inside me. This confirmation that Haley never cared, that it was always calculated, somehow made it easier to accept what had happened. The evidence was clear and final. I forwarded Olive's report to Keith and Rachel that evening. The screenshots got saved to a shared cloud folder we created for documenting everything related to Mom and Haley. Keith called me 10 minutes later and told me he was adding his daughter's Instagram exchange to the folder. We were building a case without really meaning to, just trying to protect ourselves and track the damage. Rachel texted the group chat, asking if we should show Mom the evidence about Haley's social media posts. I typed back that Mom probably wouldn't believe it, or she'd make excuses. Keith agreed. We decided to keep the information for ourselves unless Mom brought up Haley again. My phone rang at 2 in the morning, 3 days later. Mom's name flashed on the screen. I almost didn't answer because I was tired of her manipulation and late-night drama, but something made me pick up. She was breathing hard, and her voice sounded wrong. I'm at the hospital having chest pains. You're still my emergency contact. They need you to come. I sat up in bed, my heart pounding because this could be real, or it could be another scheme. Where are you? St. Mary's ER. Please come. I pulled on jeans and a sweatshirt and drove to the hospital, feeling mad and worried at the same time. The whole drive, I was thinking about that letter Olive found where Haley suggested faking medical problems. This could be exactly that. But what if it's real and I ignore it? The ER waiting room smelled like cleaning products and old coffee. I gave Mom's name at the desk, and a nurse took me back to a small room with beeping machines and bright lights. Mom was lying on a bed with wires attached to her chest. Her face looked pale and old. She reached for my hand when she saw me. I'm scared. I think I'm having a heart attack. I sat in the plastic chair next to her bed and didn't take her hand. The doctors are running tests, she said. She nodded. They took blood, did an EKG, said they need to monitor me. A doctor came in 20 minutes later with a tablet and a tired expression. He told Mom the tests show it's not a heart attack. Looks like a panic attack, but her blood pressure is really high, dangerously high, and she needs to reduce stress and follow up with her regular doctor. Mom started crying, saying she'd been under so much stress. The doctor nodded and left. I sat there for 6 hours while they ran more tests and monitored her blood pressure. Mom fell asleep around 5 in the morning. Her purse was sitting on the chair next to me. I needed to find her insurance card for the paperwork they gave me. I opened the purse and dug through receipts, old tissues, a wallet. There was a folded piece of paper stuck in the side pocket. I pulled it out and unfolded it. It was a letter, Haley's handwriting at the top, with a date from 2 months before she left. I started reading, and my stomach dropped. The letter talked about their plan to get more money from me. Haley wrote about how I was starting to resist and suggested Mom should fake a medical emergency if I keep saying no. Said I'd cave if I thought Mom was dying. Suggested chest pains because those always get attention. I read the letter 3 times. Each time made me feel sicker. Mom knew. She knew exactly what Haley was doing. They planned it together. Mom wasn't a victim of Haley's manipulation. She was a willing partner. I folded the letter and put it in my jacket pocket. My hand shook. Mom woke up around 7. She blinked at the fluorescent lights and looked at me. Thank you for coming. I could have died. I pulled the letter from my pocket and unfolded it. Held it up so she could see. Did you know Haley was using you to scam the family? Mom's eyes went wide. Where did you get that? Your purse, while looking for your insurance card. I pressed, answer the question. She tried to grab the letter, but I pulled it back. That's private. It's evidence. Did you know what Haley was doing? Mom's face changed, from shocked to defensive. I don't know what you're talking about. The letter literally describes your plan to fake medical emergencies. She looked away, started picking at the hospital blanket. I knew Haley had been in trouble before, but I thought if I gave her love and money, she'd change. That's not an answer. Did you know she was scamming us? Mom was quiet for a long time. Then she nodded. I got caught up in having someone who needed me. After your dad died, I felt useless. Haley made me feel important. I didn't want to see the truth about what we were doing. For the first time ever, she said she was sorry for hurting me, then immediately added that she was lonely and grieving and didn't know what else to do. I folded the letter and put it back in my pocket. I'll help you get stable, but only under specific conditions. What conditions? We're writing a contract. I'm not giving you any more money without rules. Mom looked insulted. I'm your mother, not a business deal. You opened credit cards in my name and planned fake emergencies with Haley. This is a business deal now. She didn't argue after that. I called Holden Wu from the hospital parking lot and explained what I found. He said he could draft an agreement and have it ready by tomorrow. I drove home and slept for 3 hours, then went to Holden's office. The contract Holden created was simple. Mom must attend financial counseling. Pay me back $50 monthly for the fraudulent credit cards. Have no contact with Haley, except that I would only provide emergency help after checking that the emergency was real. I took the contract to Mom's house 2 days after she got released from the hospital. She read it at her kitchen table. Her mouth got tight. You're treating me like a criminal. You committed fraud against me. Sign it, or I file a police report. She picked up the pen. Her hand shook when she signed her name at the bottom. I made a copy on her printer and left one with her. Took mine back to my apartment and put it in the folder with all the other documents. Having clear rules written down made me feel stronger instead of guilty all the time. 3 weeks passed. Mom called on a Tuesday afternoon. Her voice sounded normal, not panicked. My car needs repairs. $300. I can't get to my doctor appointments without it. I was at work and stepped outside to take the call. Get a written estimate from the mechanic first. What? You don't trust me? The contract says I verify emergencies before helping. She exploded, started yelling that I'm a cruel daughter who doesn't care if she dies because she can't get to the doctor, that I'm punishing her for one mistake, that she raised me better than this. I hung up. She called back 4 times. I didn't answer. She didn't speak to me for 12 days. The silence felt peaceful instead of punishing. I didn't miss her calls or her guilt trips. On day 13, she texted asking if I'm free for coffee. I said no. A Facebook message appeared in my filtered inbox on a Saturday morning. It was from Haley. Long paragraphs about how Mom was telling everyone I abandoned them both. How Haley wanted to apologize and explain her side of things. The message said she was pregnant and scared, that Mom was sick because of me, that she just wanted one chance to make things right. Every sentence was designed to make me feel guilty. I recognized all the manipulation tricks Olive warned me about. The fake pregnancy, the blame, the claim that one conversation would fix everything. I screenshotted the entire message, sent it to Holden Wu with a note that Haley was still trying to con me. Then I blocked Haley on Facebook, Instagram, and every other platform I could think of. Blocking her felt powerful, like I was finally learning to protect myself instead of falling for fake remorse. For months after the family stopped sending money, Mom's landlord filed for eviction. Mom called me, sobbing. I'm going to be homeless. They're kicking me out. I can't live on the street. I called the landlord directly and verified the situation. Mom owed 4 months' rent, hadn't applied for any assistance programs, hadn't looked for cheaper housing, even though I sent her a list of affordable apartments. The landlord sounded tired when he talked about Mom, said he gave her extensions and payment plans, but she spent money on other things instead of rent. I called Rachel and explained the situation. We spent a weekend helping Mom find a small apartment that cost half what her current place did. Keith agreed to co-sign the lease. Mom cried when she saw the new apartment. It's so small. This is what you can afford, I told her. She moved in 2 weeks later. I helped her pack and watched her lose the house she'd lived in for 15 years. Part of me felt sad, watching her downsize her whole life into a tiny one-bedroom. But another part knew this consequence was necessary. She created the situation by lying and stealing and refusing to budget. Keith, Rachel, and I met at a coffee shop the week after Mom moved. We sat at a corner table with notebooks and coffee cups. We needed a plan for helping Mom that didn't let her manipulate us or drain anyone too much. Keith suggested we rotate checking on her. Each of us takes 1 week per month. Rachel said we should split her therapy copays 3 ways if she actually goes to therapy. I added that she needed to provide documentation before getting financial help. We wrote everything down, created a shared calendar for the check-in rotation, and set up a group chat for coordinating. Having my extended family's support made this feel manageable instead of overwhelming. We all agreed that helping Mom meant accepting she'll probably never fully understand what she did wrong, but we can still support her basic needs without enabling bad behavior. I started seeing a therapist named Paloma Silva in October. She specializes in family trauma and financial abuse. Her office had soft lighting and comfortable chairs. The first session, I told her everything about Mom and Haley and the money. Paloma listened without interrupting. Then she asked me about my childhood. I talked about working since I was 14, about Mom making me buy my own clothes, about always feeling responsible for Mom's happiness. Paloma helped me see patterns I never noticed before. How Mom used guilt and obligation to control me my whole life. How the Haley situation was just an extreme version of dynamics that already existed. I cried in her office, realizing that Mom's manipulation didn't start with Haley. It started when I was a kid and Mom made me feel responsible for fixing her loneliness after Dad died. Processing this hurt, but Paloma taught me to separate love from obligation. Showed me that protecting myself doesn't make me a bad daughter. Each session helped me understand that I can care about Mom without sacrificing myself. 6 months after Haley left, Mom and I met for lunch at a restaurant neither of us picked. Neutral territory. We sat across from each other with menus between us. Mom looked older than she did a year ago, more tired. We ordered food and then sat in uncomfortable silence. Finally, Mom spoke. I resent that you became successful, while I feel like I wasted my life. Having Haley made me feel important and needed in ways I hadn't felt since your father died. Her honesty surprised me. I told her I needed her to see me as a person instead of a resource, that I can't keep being her solution to every problem. She nodded slowly, didn't fully understand, but agreed to keep trying in therapy. We ate our food and talked about small things, the weather, her new apartment, my job. Nothing deep, but it was honest. We left the restaurant with an understanding that our relationship will never be what either of us wanted, but it can be real and have boundaries. That felt like enough. 7 months crawled by, with me checking every dollar twice. My financial advisor, Ryan Mathis, sent me monthly reports showing my debt shrinking bit by bit. I ate leftovers for lunch and skipped buying new clothes. My coworkers went out for happy hour, and I stayed home. The sacrifices added up slowly like pennies in a jar. By month 6, I had $12,000 saved. By month 7, I hit $15,000, enough for a down payment on something small. I met with a real estate agent named Sharon, who showed me 3 houses in my price range. The first one needed too much work. The second one sat on a busy street. The third one was a tiny 2-bedroom ranch with outdated carpet but good bones. I put in an offer that same day. The seller accepted within 24 hours. 3 weeks later, I sat at a title company office signing papers. My hand cramped from writing my name so many times. The mortgage officer slid the final document across the desk and told me, "Congratulations!" I walked out of that office owning a house. My house. Not Mom's. Not for Haley. Mine. I bought paint and spent weekends covering the beige walls with colors I actually liked. Aunt Rachel helped me hang curtains. Uncle Keith installed new light fixtures in the kitchen. Mom even showed up on moving day, carrying a casserole dish. She walked through the rooms, looking at everything with an expression I can't quite read. "The house is small," she said, quiet, but I heard her. I chose not to respond, because nothing I say will change how she sees things. We ate pizza on the floor of my empty living room, and Mom told a story about my dad that actually made me laugh. For one afternoon, it felt almost normal. A month later, my phone rang while I was at work. Olive Henderson's name showed on the screen. I stepped outside to take the call. She told me Haley got arrested in Arizona for stealing from an old couple she was living with. Haley told them she was a nursing student who needed a place to stay while doing clinical rotations. Instead, she drained their checking account and maxed out their credit cards. The couple's son caught her and called the police. Olive says there are similar complaints from Nevada and New Mexico, a pattern going back at least 2 years. The prosecutor thinks Haley will get jail time because the evidence is solid and the victims are elderly. I felt something like relief wash through me. Not happiness, exactly, but knowing she can't hurt anyone else for a while. Olive mentioned that my police report about the identity theft helped establish Haley's history. I thanked her and hung up. That night, I called Aunt Rachel to tell her the news. "Good," she said, and we both sat quiet on the phone for a minute. Neither of us needed to say more than that. 2 weeks after Olive's call, Mom showed up at my house without warning. She was holding a small plant in a ceramic pot and a white envelope. I opened the door, and she handed both items to me without speaking. The card inside had flowers on the front and 4 words written in Mom's handwriting. "I'm sorry for not seeing you." No explanation. No excuses about Haley or loneliness or anything else. Just those 7 words. I looked at Mom standing on my porch, and she looked back at me with something tired in her eyes. This doesn't fix everything between us. Doesn't erase the money or the manipulation or the year of chaos. But it's the first time she's apologized without immediately defending herself. I told her thank you and invited her inside for coffee. We sat at my kitchen table and talked about small things. Her new apartment, my job, the weather getting colder. Nothing deep or meaningful. Just 2 people trying to figure out how to be around each other. Honestly, she leaves after an hour, and I put the plant on my windowsill where it catches afternoon sun. Almost 10 months have passed since Haley walked out of Mom's house. I'm sitting in my living room on a Saturday morning with coffee and the newspaper spread across my lap. The house is quiet except for the heater clicking on. My bank account shows a balance that's slowly climbing instead of draining. Mom and I talk maybe twice a month. Sometimes I help her with small things, like driving her to appointments or fixing her computer. But I don't pay her bills or give her money or let her guilt me into anything. Uncle Keith and Aunt Rachel check on her too, so the responsibility spreads between us. Mom still makes comments sometimes that show she doesn't fully understand what she did wrong. She still thinks Haley was just troubled instead of calculating. But she's trying in her limited way, and that's more than I expected a year ago. The situation with Haley cost me over $40,000 and a year of my life. But it taught me something important about saying no, about protecting myself even when family calls it selfish. Every relationship in my life works better now because I learned to set boundaries. My friendships are stronger because I'm not constantly drained and resentful. My job performance improved once I stopped being distracted by family chaos. Even my relationship with Mom is more honest now that it's not based on her needs and my guilt. I finish my coffee and look around the small house I bought with my own money. The walls are painted colors I chose. The furniture fits my taste. Nobody else has a key. This space is mine, and I earned it by learning to value myself enough to stop funding other people's problems. Family love doesn't require financial sacrifice or tolerating manipulation. It can exist with boundaries and honesty and mutual respect. That's what I have now. Not perfect, but real and sustainable. I set down my coffee cup and start planning what color to paint the bedroom. Pause for a beat, then narrator's tone shifts slightly, directly addressing the audience. This journey was incredibly hard, full of moments where I felt completely lost and utterly alone. I had to make some impossible choices. I know a lot of you out there might have similar experiences with difficult family dynamics, or maybe you're in the middle of one right now. So, tell me, have you ever had to draw a hard line with family to protect yourself? What was the hardest boundary you ever had to set, and how did it change your life? I'd really love to hear your stories in the comments below.